Previously on the Not So Grand Jury. Mike, Derrick, exactly how ridiculous is that?
I mean, for the same reason that, like, she gets brought into the case eventually. The fact that she gets brought in eventually is the answer. The fact that, like, no, you should interview this person because they still might be relevant.
Like, in fact, I was at one point 100% sure when I was watching that the reason defendant's counsel was going to bring her in as a witness was that they were going to talk about the fact that, like, she ruined him, and so he was just out, like, either he was a disaster, or he was just pissed at the world, and he was just planning to go after Love Guaranteed.
The hours are real. The hours are very difficult. I am usually at the office till 7, 8 o'clock. That said, I don't know any firm that will give me a free house or free, luxury apartment in New York City.
Yeah, I don't know many law firms that own apartment buildings off Central Park just for the associates to live in.
Very devious of Ransom. The whole reason, and we'll get into this aspect a little later, the reason Ransom was doing this is the slaughter rule, where if you kill someone you're inheriting from, you cannot collect the estate.
And the whole time he's saying that, he has a knife in his pocket. Like, he could open with, well, I went for a walk and found a knife exactly like the knife that the defendant is supposed to have used. But he doesn't. He, slow rolls the jury.
How's that, Geoff?
I think that was an excellent, succinct summary.
Wow. That's shocking given the amount of whiskey I've had. Just going to throw it out there.
Yeah, but it was very concise. That was good.
Yeah.
And that's from some guy that's really never given either. I've been present for both, but I've never actually given either. Did you hear me open my bottle of whiskey? Because I can do that louder.
It's been nearly 3 years since Mike and I released the last episode of the Not So Grand Jury, and you probably thought it was dead.
And it was, or at least we thought it was.
But no bad idea ever truly dies. After years of hounding Mike and I, my friend Derrick Moore made us an offer we just couldn't refuse. Derrick is the managing partner of Moore Law PLLC, but let's be honest, he's better known as Squeak Rico 7. Our 5-star reviewer and guest back when we tore into the abysmal Love Guaranteed. Derrick, Squeak, why couldn't you just let this die?
Let's be honest, guys. You did not want this to die. Geoff just did not want to keep editing and hearing his own voice. That is how this all came to fruition. At some point I said, why don't you keep recording? And Geoff said I couldn't stand my own voice anymore. We found an editor / my sister Colleen. Thank you, Colleen. And I said, let's get this back going. And here we are. So you can say it's my fault, but I think it's all three of our faults, really, when it comes down to it.
I guess that's fair. If you didn't catch the podcast during its initial run, we are all attorneys and we love a good story. And a bad story, for that matter. We might go on discussing one for hours. I'm Geoff Blackwell. I'm a First Amendment attorney. For nearly a decade, I've been handling cases all around the United States involving violations of the separation between religion and government, freedom of speech, and religious discrimination.
I'm Mike Adler. My practice is based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I focus mostly on real estate law and bankruptcy law, and I'm barred in New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
And I'm Derrick Moore, your third guest. I'm an attorney admitted to practice in D.C. and New York. I have my own law firm, Moore Law PLLC. That is the new sponsor of the podcast. My practice is pretty varied. I do a fair amount of business law, which includes helping to form new startups and get them off the ground, become outside counsel. But I also do a fair amount of real estate construction work, civil litigation, and I even represent some foreign governments in U.S. litigations. So pretty diverse practice on my end. And you'll discover as we start getting into the podcast that we love to get into areas that we know nothing about. So that's not going to stop us. Let's be honest, Mike and Geoff. We will dive into any area we want to.
Any and all.
So keep an eye out on your podcast app of choice. We will be dropping the first episode of Not So Grand Jury a week from now. The first episode, we will be discussing the Lincoln Lawyer TV show, Season 1, Episode 1.
Coming soon on the Not So Grand Jury.
To be fair, the information he needed to win the case, he observed immediately.
That's true, yes.
He's been there for like 12 seconds. He's like, I got this. I'm in. While watching the episode, I was going nuts about the fact that he was joking about how he murdered the attorney, because like that's even a fucking joke. You don't tell that joke to a cop.
Oh no.
So
No.
There's no humor.
You
There's
got
no
me.
tone that comes
You got
through
me.
when they just write in the fucking warrant for your arrest. He said he did it.
To be clear, if anybody hasn't seen it, the cops are like, "Oh, you inherited his entire firm and all his clients.
Yeah.
Well, all right, you're now on our suspect list."
Yeah, which like fucking
And he's
obviously.
like, "Oh, you got me. I killed the guy," and I'm like,
And I convinced him
"What
that
are
he
you
didn't do it."
doing?"
Yeah, but like that's true of every ethics violation. It's like,
That is true.
Until somebody reports you, it's fine. Until the cops arrest you, breaking the law is cool. That's not actual legal advice.
Well, the
I'm
one
confident none
exception.
of my accomplices will report me.
Right.
that was
and by
actually
way-
the last scene of the series. It's amazing that they had a whole season, but it was actually just 12 minutes.
Right.
It's just 12 minutes in, over. Oh, credits.
That was it. Case is over.
The Lincoln Lawyer.
Oh, that would be such a great troll.
The Not So Grand Jury is sponsored by Morwa PLLC.
The opinions expressed in the Not So Grand Jury are those of the hosts themselves and not of their respective employers.
The theme music for the Not So Grand Jury is from Gustav Holst's Jupiter and is in the public domain.
If you want to get in touch with us, if you want to suggest future movies, or even if you want to offer corrections, you can email us at notsograndjury@gmail.com.
The Not So Grand Jury is copyright 2024, all rights reserved.